Mm-mm-mm-mm. Hi everybody, welcome to the dark night of the soul of humankind. This is a big topic and it's a lot to cover, but I am grateful you are here. I'm grateful that I get to sit here. This is the video number 9 of Breaking Free from the Matrix, which is a series that I have here on YouTube, and it is meant to support all of us in our awakening process. So, when we go through the dark night of the soul, these can be very, very painful, excruciating experiences that make us question our existence, our being here, our pure, is there any use of me being here at all? And these are, of course, deep, dark questions, but they are in need of being asked. Because what happens is we start to question the narrative that we've been living with, right? So if I thought that I was here for a certain reason, or when I was younger, I lived up in the mountains and I was a bouncer and I was an MMA fighter for a while, and not that I thought that was my life's calling, but I still was going through that as an identity. And when I went through a crash, that identity was peeled away from me. And it was beautiful and hard at the same time. Of course, the result was to move away from a certain set identity that I thought I had, and then coming deeper into, closer to my truer nature. And as those layers of the personality gets peeled away, the fallacies that we live with, personality, as they get peeled away, we come closer to our own truth. And as we come closer to our higher truth, it becomes easier to be, at least for me, for Marcus, it's become easier to be Marcus. And that's the hope and intention I have for you after your soul, also becoming easier to be you. We move through this universe with a different energy as we peel away those layers, basically the layers of the ego. Now, humanity as a whole, of course, also has a bunch of layers of ego. And these are big movements. These are big energetic shifts that need to take place in order for us to grow as a species. So much of our existence is being spent fighting each other, polluting our world, making money from each other when we could really to support each other, right? So much of our existence is spent on trying to fool the other person so they believe in something you're selling or something you're doing. And it's fantastic to watch how our world has kind of spiraled into this place of being, we're very much manipulated by external forces. We're very much controlled by how the media portrays the world to us, by what we're supposed to be afraid of this week and next week and last week. And where our attention is going is sort of like we're being led by the nose all the time. And until we can take a step back from that, we are basically victims of the Matrix. Once you start taking a step back and you're like, wait a second, I thought they said this the other year, or last year, last week, last month, they said this, now they're saying that. Once you develop your discernment, once you start to be like, uh-oh, so I'm starting to feel like they're kind of lying to me. Once you start to feel that way, then our awakening process is absolutely happening. And of course, the spiritual awakening of going through your own personal dark night of the soul is very similar to the awakening when we're waking out of the Matrix. At the same time, they are slightly different in nature. A spiritual awakening is a bit more of you're coming to terms with your inner higher self. You're coming to terms with fallacies within yourself. And these are of spiritual. This might have been, have you been lying big parts of your life? Have you been an addict or addicted to alcohol, to porn, to to sex, to whatever. Have you been addicted to these things? Are you able to wake up, reach the bottom and wake up and come back home to yourself, to face yourself, to sit with yourself, to hold yourself in light? This is part of a spiritual awakening. An awakening out of the matrix is beginning to see that big parts of our reality, what we perceive to be our reality, is sort of a make-believe system. And one of the things that we have to do as a collective is go through the dark. We have to sit with our, what they call shadow work. And we really have to do that. There's no way to get around it. And the beauty is that a lot of movements that are going on, even within the matrix, like what they call fake news, and one president yelling out fake news, and then another president yelling out fake news, and then they're all yelling fake news at each other. It's beautiful in a way, because it's up to the idea that, oh, wait a second, are we not being told the whole truth? Maybe we're not. And as we started diving into that, the truths were coming. Well, that was a lie, that was a lie. There were lies on all sides of the spectrum, which helps us to see through the matrix. It helps us to break free. But in order to sit with this side of the soul shadow work, we, both as an individual, we have to see that, what's going on in my life? Where did I buy into the lies? On what level did I buy into the lies? And then once we start waking up, breaking the matrix, breaking free, we can start as a collective to break free as well. But this movement of the collective is a big movement, right? Like that's a lot of energies having to shift. So that's a bit of a process. And unfortunately, we may have to go into some really heavy dark times, darker than what we've just gone through, in order to truly take a stance and truly wake up and be, no, I am not going along with the narrative that's being thrown in my face. No, I'm going to stay with the deeper truths that are coming through me. I'm going to listen to my heart. I'm going to listen to my own, and even if it's research, you do your research. You look into the facts that you want to trust, but look within for what you feel is truthful for you. But please make up your mind. Your mind. Don't buy the matrix messages. Don't buy the narrative, because that is where we lose ourselves. And as we go into the dark night of the soul as a collective, it may get darker, it might get harder, it might get heavier. This is so that more and more of us can wake up. And it also helps us to return to the true values of humanity, right? Is love, passion, tolerance, understanding. These, and strength and power as well, for sure. These are deep values that are innately implanted or in nature. Nature of light is very strong and forceful. The nature of life is very forceful, powerful. That's the power you have as well. But most of us are disconnected from it because we're living in a society, run by a matrix within, like it is a matrix that is spreading separation, isolation, and that leads to despair, to depression, and to the feelings of darkness we're living in, right? So the matrix likes to separate us. So the more issues that are coming up, the more we get caught up in one particular issue, the more people who are caught up in all these different, you call it gender politics, call it, race politics, call it whatever. And it's not that it's bad in itself, right? Because it's good that we bring up these issues. It's good and healthy to discuss. But what happens is when I'm focusing only on one particular issue in this whole issue, my energy is being pushed into that field alone. And then I am kind of easy to manipulate because I'm like, well, only these people who believe the exact same thing that I do are my friends. Nobody else is like me.
Again, we are caught up in separation and isolation.
Not realizing that the deeper truth is we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. That's what we are. We are not, first of all, we're not
a sexual
orientation. We're not a skin color. We're not a gender. First of all, we are human beings. And until we can wake up to that, as long as we see, well, you're You don't believe in the same political party I do. You don't believe in the same gender politics that I do. You don't believe in the same racial politics that I do. You don't believe in the same whatever. You don't drive the same car. You don't like the same motorcycles. Whatever it might be. We're being caught up in separation. And we forget who we truly are. And as long as that's going on, the Matrix has us in its grip, very deeply, very firmly. The Matrix is also feeding a lot of avoidance behaviors. These behaviors of avoiding issues, of avoiding who we actually are. These behaviors that are also part of pornography, they're part of addictions, they're part of alcohol addictions, they're part of gambling, they're part of violence in society, sports. All these things are distractions to keep us from asking deeper questions, to keep us from true healing of ourselves and our collective. And absolutely, some of it looks like fun on the surface, right? And some of it might be fun. I don't want to just throw shade on any one particular thing, but I would like to point out that if my whole life is geared towards that this one particular sports team will win, it's not that you're in any way, shape, or form a bad person, right, for doing that. We can love sports. We can love whatever we want to feel love for. But if we look at it a little bit deeper, we may want to see that, is there anything else we can also lend our life force energy to? Is there anything else we can support? Is there anything else we can help to evolve life? Can we help ourselves to get stronger, better in our lives so that we then can also help others? Because it's very easy to be distracted, basically from the true self, by all these carrots that the Matrix is dangling in front of us. And one of the big things about shadow work and sitting in the dark night of the soul is that we have to learn to see ourselves clearly. And that can be uncomfortable. Once we start to see ourselves more clearly, we can start releasing the shadow, right? Because when you have a lot of darkness in your system, when you still have a shadow that's very active in you, that shadow sort of controls your life. And it's not like it's always detrimental to your whole sense of like self, but a lot of times, most of our society is caught up in its shadow. Most of us are caught up in fear in one way or another. Well, as long as that doesn't happen, as long as I don't lose this or that, then I'm going to be okay. There's a lot of fear in that and a lot of shadow work in that. And as you start to see through your own fear, see through your own parasite of the false personality, which is also part of the shadow, we start to come back home into a deeper sense of reality. And as we come into that deeper sense of reality, we start to see a new frontier. It's like a frontier of love, instead of being a frontier of darkness and heaviness and war and torment. So as this vision for who we actually are becomes more clear for more of us, once more of us start to recognize that, oh, I am a spiritual being in a human body. We are here with a purpose. We are here to reconnect to our original roots into Earth Mother. We are here to connect to the indigenous tribes that are basically our forefathers, right? Because in many ways, the indigenous tribes are who we were originally, right? And we lost our way in modern society, and absolutely, there's nothing inherently evil about depends on how we look at it, but our society itself has evolved. We are living in certain luxuries and comfortabilities, but at the same time, we have completely disconnected from Earth Mother, disassociated from Earth Mother. This is something that most indigenous tribes have not. They still are connected to Earth. As we reconnect to Earth Mother, we learn that we can learn the ways of natives. Many natives can teach us what it's like to be in communion, have a right relationship, an aini with Earth Mother, with the mountains, with the trees, with the forests, with the Great Lakes, with the ocean. We connect with nature. It's one of the ways we wake up. And another one is to see through the false narrative of the matrix. And the third one is then to see ourselves clearly. How can you see yourself clearly? How can I see myself clearly? And how can we help humanity to see itself clearly on a bigger scope, on a bigger scale? Yes? It's beautiful. It's not always an easy journey, but it is beautiful once we start to see that love is that answer. That love is the answer, the antidote to the darkness of the matrix. That coming back home, strengthening your sense of internal power, your sense of groundedness in you, is how we break free from the matrix. And it starts with you and I. It starts with one person at a time, but that will spread like a wildfire over time. But these shifts are, like we said earlier, they're big in nature. They are energetic shifts that have to happen on a bigger scale. And they are happening right now. But these videos, you're watching a video right now, right? In maybe 100 years from now, if the matrix isn't allowed to take over all these videos and all of this stuff, then these videos will have made its way into the subconscious of so many humans that the collective will have an awakening no matter what. And the work from 100 years ago, the work from the early 1920s or from the 1940s and 50s of esoteric teachers, of all these different alternative, what they call alternative medicines and all that stuff, is still reverberating through our society. And it's going to keep doing that, just like these words that I'm speaking right now, that other teachers that are beautiful are teaching right now. It's supporting the awakening on a big scale. And we don't know if that awakening is going to happen like this, or if it's going to happen over another 50 to 100 years. But it sure is happening. What is the purpose of the dark night of the soul for humanity, right? What is the purpose of this? The purpose is that so we can wake up. The purpose is so we can see ourselves clearly and so we can see our true nature and our true reason for being. In French, they call it raison d'être, reason to be here. And once we find that as a collective, envision and imagine how strong humankind can get when we recognize our true nature of freedom, of inner freedom, inner love, higher vibratory fields. How if we recognize that our systems, even the financial systems, if they can actually become supportive, and we become supportive of each other. How about if we, this country is suffering right now, why don't we all pitch in? This person is suffering right now. We need to help that person to not suffer so that all of us can do better, so all of us can feel better. This is not only an individual journey. This is a collective journey, but the individual has to wake up within it. Yes. So as we wake up to the highest intention of our existence, you may realize that humanity has access to some amazing, beautiful vibrations of our soul, what we can put forth in the world, what we can bring to the world when we are in a loving, higher, aware state, is beauty, is love, is compassion, it's understanding, it's tolerance, It's creating the most beautiful, strongest, both experiences. And if we need to build buildings, we can. If we need to build spaceships, we can. But envision that we're doing it without abusing anyone or anything to do that. If we're living in harmony with nature, in harmony with each other, just keep that as a part of your vision, your intention, both for your life and for the life of our planet. In order to get there, we do have to face that dark night of the soul. We do have to understand that the ways of the Matrix are not sustainable. That the way we are ravaging our earth right now, the way we're ravaging each other, the way we are being harmful to each other, energetically, spiritually, physically, is not sustainable. This is how we wake up from the Matrix. All right, beloved. Thank you. We are so happy you listened to this talk. We're so happy you're in this process of waking up from the Matrix. And next week, there's another video coming out. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Feel free to share. And leave me a comment. It's very nice to get the comments. Thank you. Much love. Namaste. And aho.